Hello, I'm Patricia Coenjaerts and I'm here because I believe everybody can learn to draw. There are many people who would enjoy drawing if they only knew how. So we're going to go step by step. We're going to start with the basics. And when you feel confident, we'll go on. We'll cover the use of different techniques, uses of color, and a variety of materials. For this first lesson, we will use pencil and paper, because that's also the way that we learn to write. Remember from childhood and art history that we know how to make pictures long before we knew how to write. For this first lesson, we're going to use paper and pencil. If you have to go and buy paper, I suggest you buy an inexpensive block of smooth paper like bound paper. There is lots of paper available with different textures, but for these first exercises, we will use smooth, inexpensive paper. If I say pencil and paper, maybe we'll have to go and buy a pencil. Here I have a whole family of blue pencils. They're all the same family. They have H and B. What does this mean? That H pencils, they are hard and they write a hard line. And the B pencils, they give a very soft and dark line. If I go more through the center, like I take the B will be soft and it gives a dark line. Then I'll use the H, it gives a gray line and it's very hard to use. I'm using the same pressure on both pencils. For this lesson we will use a 2B, round middle. If we talk about pencils, we also need a soft eraser and a sharpener. So let's begin. For this first lesson, we will talk about round forms. In my refrigerator, I found a few round objects, like an orange, a tomato, and an onion. These are basically round forms, but their shapes are a little bit with character. So we'll try to cover this character of each of these round spheres. We'll start with the orange. These three round forms have the circle as a base. So let's start. We start with a circle. We'll start with a circle. We observe the orange and we see that the skin got little pores all over it and a stem right where it has been connected to the tree, and it's a circle, basically a circle. Let's give it the nicest angle. There we go, the circle. Then we put in the stem of this orange, right where it has been connected to the tree. And we can give some texture. The little pores that we see all over. And right where we see that the orange doesn't got too much light, we make more pores. And where the orange got less light, we make less pores. You can easily draw with me. But this full circle still lacks something to have a nice, round, voluminous orange. So we have to make something on the shadow. We have to work on the shadow. We make first a light line, right where we see it on our orange. Because we're working with very good light, and the orange is lighted from one side and dark on the other side. One side got less light, and one side got lots of light. The shadow we're gonna fill in with short, dark lines close to each other. This will give our orange depth and volume. Here we have our orange. If we look at the graphic here on my right, you can see that we went basically from a circle, then we have been working on the texture, then we made a light line for the shadow, we filled in this shadow with light lines, and we worked a little bit more on the texture. So next we're gonna take the tomato. The tomato also is a basically round sphere, but it got little bumps all over, and the skin is completely different. It doesn't got pores, it's a smooth, soft surface. So let's draw this tomato. Basically, we start with the circle, like we did with the orange. We start with the circle, right how we see it on our model. But when we look closer at the tomato, we see it's not completely round. It got some bumps. So we have to draw the closest. We see the orange. It's not really a complete circle. You can draw this tomato with me, because with practice, you can see your own advance. So we have the round, like we see it on tomato, then we draw the bumps, and we see, like light lines, in light lines, we draw the bumps. We see the center, we draw the center. Also on the smooth surface of our tomato, we can see that the light reflects. So we got something like highlights, white points, who characterizes our smooth tomato. So we put those in too. Your tomato might be different than my tomato. There are lots of tomatoes around. So our picture starts to look like a tomato, with the stem, the highlights, and the bumps. So then we see, and we think a little bit, where does the light come from? The light is coming this way. This way the light is coming, so the shadow is coming here. We're gonna draw in the shadow, what will give our tomato a little bit more volume and depth. Right, how we see it on the model, we put it on the paper. A light line, then we fill in the light line with short, straight lines for shadow, depth, and volume on our tomato. But we still have to draw a little bit more lines on our tomato, because it's round, it got the form of a tomato, but we still have light sides and dark sides. We have a pattern. Like here it's lighter, here it's darker. So we fill that in with 3 light lines. When they overlap each other, it will be darker. Let's go and do this also on the onion. The onion is different. It got some top on there and some roots underneath. Let's find the right angle. nice angle how we want to draw it. We see that the onion basically round, but it got a top and it got a stem with little roots and it got lines all over. Lines all over who characterizes this onion. I put it right here so it cannot roll away. There we go. Now we're gonna draw this onion. Basically it's round, so we put first our round form. Right here. And we have round, but then we have that little stem on there. The little roots underneath. And then all the lines that we see on the skin of the onion. These give an accent on the direction. These short lines. The only thing we have to do is look at our model and draw what we see. Dark where we see dark and light where we see dark. Where we see light. I'm putting in the little lines, a little structure I see. And to make this circle, to give this circle a little bit more volume, we work on the shadow. Here comes the shadow. With short straight lines. Fill your paper up with sketches, because if you practice, you can see your own advance. Also, never throw away none of your pictures, because to see your own advance, you have to see and lines. We put more lines so we get more and closer to this orange. If you look at the graphic that I have here on my left side, you can see also how we went from the circle to the orange to the tomato and to characterize the onion. Now let's change things around a little bit. We're going to cut an orange and we're gonna make a study of detail. The detail that we can see when we cut an orange. Let me take all these things away so we have more space to work. This is a juicy orange and I feel it got nice detail, it got some pits in there. Now we're cutting the circle, we're cutting the ball, and we got two flat circles. We're going to draw this flat circle. And we're gonna watch all the details we see inside, because this is a very interesting study. So we're going to draw the circle first. We're going to draw the circle first. And we observe this orange where we can see all the different segments and the little pits. So draw with me, and you might look different at an orange. Next time when you cut one, we draw the orange, we put in the center, and the different segments. And the little pits. Then if you see something of the skin, it will be like a little crescent around the orange. A little crescent around. And then we have a little shadow. So, I hope you practice this too. Here I have a couple drawings I would like to show you. So you can see that if you practice a lot, you can get to these points too. You only need little practice. Here we got the orange. When we work on the patterns, we got the tomato. And with practice, you can do that too. And then the onion. And our cutted orange. So let's do something different now. With all these basic elements that we have seen, we're gonna make a composition. During the programs we will be bringing to you, we will be making a composition. If we look at our model, we see round forms and some forms that we have not drawn yet. Don't worry about those forms. We're just gonna draw what we know, starting with the basic, the circles and the round forms. I have the onion. At home, choose your fruit and vegetable basket and make a picture of it. We can see that forms are overlapping each other. So we draw what's in front and we erase what's overlapping. So every lesson that we will be bringing to you, we will have new basic forms and we will add them to this picture until it's completed. And you have learned how to share with all these basic forms. In the next lesson, we will talk about square forms and we will explain very easy and clear how to share with perspective. So, we're using the basics to make these pictures. Now I'm leaving you with your pencils and papers. Look around in the house for round forms like a ball or any round form and make sketches. Keep your sketches and look for your advance. The next lesson we will talk about square forms. So look for a box or something as a square form. I'll hope to see you next time on Drawing by Observation.